actually, this shadow, there's actually a shadow that carries over this whole thing that I'm seeing right here. And it's on this side as well. So I'm just going to kind of let that run in there. And let's put that, well, it's a little too wet to put that back in there now though. So that's what happens if you paint wet into wet, as you can see right here. It's going to bleed everywhere. So what we do, so if you do that and you have a situation like this that you're not happy with, the best thing to do is to just blot up what you can, then dry it, and then come back in and correct it. The way I would correct that is I would take my little flat brush, clean, and a clean paper towel, and I would just go in and lightly pick that up with a thirsty brush. And see, it's much softer, which is really what we wanted. So there you go. I also think we need to soften this edge right here. I don't like this harsh transition that's happening right here. So that's better. I like that better. I think even softer. And this is Arches paper, so it can take this. Not all papers can take this finagling. I'm going to lighten this up and down here. That's why Arches is such a nice paper. It's because you can scrub it, and it does respond. Okay. So I'm just lightening some of these areas. I just want this to look lighter in there because there's a lot of light in there. And actually I think there's like a whole soft petal over this whole thing. So I think that's what's going on there. I think that's actually one whole petal. So let's see what happens if we just take lemon yellow. And I'm gonna have to move to a different palette here for a minute. And let's see what happens if we just dilute it and just go over this whole thing that's gonna be a petal here. We just glaze this whole thing. That's one big petal. And unify. This is called a unifying wash, and it really makes a difference. And then we'll just wet this with clear water so that's soft. And then I'm going to take the same lemon yellow and I'm going to go over here because this is all part of it as well. And then I'm actually going to go over everything pretty much with the lemon yellow because my darks will stay dark, but my lights will be brighter, as you can see there. And we get more life. Yellow will always bring life to your painting. Need to correct that in a minute. I'm even going to do that on the stem. Okay, and let's do it on this as well. So we just went over pretty much the entire, oh that looked good, the entire thing with just a wash of lemon yellow. And I'm even going to put a little in there. Right there. Just a loose wash. And so now we've unified the painting. We've brought it all together. And I am much happier with that. And that does look much brighter, and it's just a much better look. So just a coat of lemon yellow over the whole thing. And much better, much better. All right, so let's drop in those greens and those dark greens. So if we are doing a stem, this is a size 6. And I'm going to go back into my greens. And I have a medium green, remember? A mid green that I'm just going to put here and there. But as it goes over these other colors, it's going to change color, see? It's going to all blend, so that's going to be really nice. And it actually will run down there. See how that did that? So neat. Okay. All right. And the stem's going to be brown. So let's go ahead and make a brown. We'll take burnt sienna. We'll do it over here. And because it's a red, burnt sienna is a red, and if we take a green and mix it with it, and I just have the green off over here to the side, or we can mix it right here. So let's just take our new gamboge and a touch of ultramarine, and we get a nice dark green. And if I mix that with the burnt sienna, I'll get a nice brown. And if I add a little more ultramarine, I'll get a darker brown. So now we have this really nice stem color. And I'm just going on the bottom edge here because that's the dark side of the stem. And we're leaving a highlight on the other side, right here. And we're going to build that up gradually. And then right here, this has a dark side that comes here, just down in there. This is quite dark here. Let's make it a little darker. So if I want it darker, more ultramarine. And more burnt sienna. And there we have a nice rich dark brown. And take the excess water out of my brush and drop that in loosely and let it run on down and get some browns here and there. This is a very dark stem here, whatever this thing is. So I'm just painting that there, like that. And I don't like that harsh. And if I'm painting up something with a point, I can either start at the pointed end, or I can go down here and lift right at the end. And because I want contrast in here, some of these are going to be greener. Okay. I'm not sure what's happening in here, so we're just going to kind of blend that all out. In there, let it run. Anytime you can let things run, it just gives such a nice flow to your painting. And I want that one darker, back behind this one, so we'll just make it darker, like that. And we'll make this one darker. And I am barely touching this. I'm just dropping it in. Here and there. And this is light, does have a lighter spot down at the end here. This is darker here. So I'm going to try to get that to go this way. All right, now that looks better. I'm liking that. I need to bring this on up in here though, so that it's kind of hidden back up in here. In these areas, it all merges together. Not that much though. And actually, maybe a little dark under here. Okay. All right, liking that. Let's darken this area here. Again, let's put some burnt sienna in there. Excuse me, burnt sienna and alizarin crimson. Make that really dark. So let's mix our burnt sienna and our alizarin crimson and really get this dark, dark, dark. Get our darks in. This, and then bring them down like this, and then bring it along the edge like this, and then with just a damp brush blend this all together like that. And that I like. All right. So that's our darkest dark, that and this, and of course the stem. So I'm going to put some more red back in the stem here, or in these, I guess that's a sepal. So I do want these to be darker. Okay. All right, and I want this brighter orange. So I'm going to go back in with the lemon yellow and the pyrrole red. Make a really bright orange and drop it in right here. And a little bit in here. And a little bit up here. And we've got some right here. And you can drop it all in at once and then go back and soften it. Just remember to go back and soften it. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. All right, and that's brighter there, underneath here. Okay, and we got some brighter colors here. So this is how I paint. I just continue to fiddle around until I am happy with how it looks. So now I'll go back and soften all these so we don't have hard edges. And that's just with a wet, damp, not wet, but a damp brush. Just softening that bottom edge. Okay. And painting with the form of the flower, the petals. And remember, we are interpreting a live photograph, so it's never going to be precisely as you see it. I'm going in with that really bright red now, just because this petal over here is really bright. Okay. And softening that. Maybe putting a little water in there so it's not so harsh. Just wetting it a little bit, letting it kind of meander on down here a little bit. And that also gives it texture, which is nice. I don't think I want it to have that much texture, so we'll make that smoother. Like that. Now I'm going to come back in and do the bright orange in here with a little more water. And go over this petal again, brighter. But I'm going to leave some areas. And I'm just fiddly, what I call fiddly kind of strokes there. And I'm going to take that on out since I didn't correct that. Actually, I'm going to do a lighter wash on out here and see if we can give that transparent look of that whole petal. There. Okay, I like that better because see it's kind of washy now. And so now I can go in, now that it's wet, and I can do little flicky marks to actually indicate how that petal is moving. I'll probably do it here. Again, make that darker there. And actually come in darker here with these. And wet that and soften that and blot it because that's way too harsh. Okay. And this needs that for some reason. I don't know why. Just looks like it does. Okay. I think we're going to call that pretty much done. I need to go back in here and bring this petal to life back here a little bit by making it darker. And it has a little edge right there, just in there. Okay. And if I still think that that's too, that I have it too particular, I can always take my color and just give it the tiniest little bit of flickering. Let me get a clean paper. And because I know I'm going over that background again, I'm not actually, I think instead, I'm just going to do the whole thing. So I think that's what this needs. It's become too precious, so I am going to soften it. And this is bold, and you may not want to do this, and that's okay. That's the new gamboge. And to me, that just softens everything. I think we'll take some green and do the same thing. Just enough. And if you don't want the green in your flower, just dab it out. Whenever I paint a painting and it's too tight, I tend to go back and do this just because it softens it. And it makes it less precious. All right, let's take some alizarin crimson. Do the same thing, but we'll just do the alizarin crimson on the flower parts, especially this part. All right, and we will call that done.